Hey, it's your man Roger D today, and we've got a great video. And the video is going to be about AIO cooler with new technology. And this is by Deepcool Captain 240 Pro. So we're going to obviously, well, actually behind me, it's already getting tested for its paces. So we're going to obviously be talking about that through this video, the highlights, aesthetics, and all that sort of stuff. Installing this AIO cooler was a breeze. Basically, I had my case stood upright, and I took all my other AIO cooler out of the case, which was a 360, placed it down to the left hand side of me, and then proceeded to obviously open up the box and see what we had installed for myself. And tell you what, when I actually saw how much stuff Deepcool has in that box, it's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in there. You're going to be pretty amazed at the fact that this AIO cooler works with TR4. TR4? What is TR4? Threadripper. How does this work with Threadripper? 9900K, obviously the new Ryzens with more cores on it, I'll understand. It'll just work, but a 240 with Threadripper with so many cores that produces a lot of heat, that's awesome. I love the things that are included in this box. Number one, addressable RGB controller, 5-volt connector, eSATA power connector rather than Molex. This is decent. This makes my life so much easier. And the fact is, if you don't have an RGB equivalent motherboard, or just an RGB motherboard with a 5-volt connector, because you could have an RGB motherboard or an addressable RGB motherboard, but it can have 12 volts. Obviously this works with 5 volts. And the good thing about it is that you can use this and just connect it up if you've got a 12-volt RGB motherboard, because this doesn't connect to it, but it will obviously connect to this. And then that means you can have addressable RGB, and obviously your AIO cooler will be working as well. You also got a fan hub that's definitely included in this box, and it's so cool because it works with all PWM, all third parties. It doesn't even matter what manufacturer it is. PWM and DC is going to work fine on that. So basically you connect the PWM to the CPU header on your motherboard, route it through to the back, and then you have it. It's just out of the way, and you can connect all your fans up without having all cable mess in the front. Also, you've got a motherboard sync as well for addressable RGB. You connect that through the 5-volt. So obviously locate where the 5-volt connector is, or header, and then connect it through, route that through to the back, and it's got magnets, and you can just connect it to the back. So hopefully your case is obviously metal, then obviously you can magnet it to touch to the back, and it's out the way and it looks cool. So let's talk about the technology that is involved in this radiator. It's a patented design. Deepcool's got a bold statement saying that, oh wow, this is not going to ever leak, ever. And it's on their website. It's a bit of a bold claim for me. I'm not going to put it out there to you guys. Buy this, it's not going to leak, because there's different places where it can leak. And if it leaks, it's going to damage all your components inside the computer. And if you've got really expensive components, I don't want to be the end of that. Bold claims, bold statement. Now on the website of Deepcool, it's stating that their patented design says no more leaks. Now, I did just cover that, you still can get leaks. Now, their technology is kind of different, because as I said, it's not Aztec, but it's similar. But what it is, in the radiator, it's got a little bladder, and it's meant to work with the atmospheric surroundings and pressure with how the coolant that goes through this chamber. That's 3 times in the pump and all this sort of stuff. Not going to talk very complex about that. I'm just going to keep it simple. Now this bladder is meant to work at a certain level, so if there's too much pressure, it's meant to compress and uncompress when there's not that much pressure, making sure that all the flow around with the coolant per hour and stuff is actually working really well within the chamber. That means that this technology is meant to stop leaks. Now it's a bold claim, but as I said before, 2 years you're only meant to have an AIO cooler, and obviously the thermal compound underneath is meant to be changed. And technically the AIO cooler needs to be changed and thrown out, and then have a new one. Then you don't run the risk of having leaks in your system, which we don't want. So in the background, I have got a graph, and it's been going for 41 minutes. So I'm gonna run it for an hour, and that's gonna tell me whether this little Captain 240 Pro is gonna be well enough to not do any thermal throttling on the 9900K. The 9900K is not overclocked, and technically I wanted to do real world results, but if I just push that barrier a little bit more for synthetic benchmarks, then obviously it will show that if you're doing real world results like video editing, obviously if you're doing video editing, it will push the CPU up really high, but then it will throttle down and keep it cool, but it will still carry on going. It won't just shut down. Sometimes it will, depends how your luck is. But at the moment, We don't have no CPU throttling at all, and it's been going for like 40 odd minutes. Now, once it's gone over the hour threshold, that's what we're gonna do. You're gonna see that graph afterwards, but this is awesome. At the moment, the temperature's at 73 degrees after 41 minutes. Now that is really good out on the 9900K, but it's not overclocked. Now, if it's overclocked, then obviously it's gonna be a different story. But this is only a 240. Right, so this is not even a 360, and I've had a 360 on the 9900K, and it was actually hitting the same temperature. This is 240, so, and it's super silent. It's RGB, addressable RGB. So this is going to be a quick sound test. I have three 140mm fans in here. I've got an RTX 2060, I've got the Deepcool Captain 240 Pro installed, and I've got a stress test going on as well. And as I'm looking up close up, I can see that the glass tubing, the whole thing just looks aesthetically pleasing. Now that's my normal vocals while speaking while this is running the stress test. So we've got to wait until the stress test is finished, and then we'll see how quiet it is then. Let's talk about addressable RGB and RGB. Now, as I said, you've got a controller, you can obviously use that, and then you don't have to have a motherboard without any RGB. But you can see clearly, well, it's not really that close, but in the other bits of B-roll, this is super bright. I love the way the fusion comes together. It looks really attractive. And I'm using it off the software, MSI Mystic Light. It's really working well. I've got no problems, no software crashes like you normally do with some other products. I'm not going to really talk about that, but other than that, the fan's really bright, CPU air, water block, really nice and clean. The only thing is though, it was easy to put together, but you can put it together in different ways and stuff. Don't know which way would work the best way with like water flow and everything like that, but I like the fact that you get all these cables and you can route them to the back, and this makes it easy. So who is this AIO cooler for? Well, if you're a beginner to an experienced person, it doesn't matter. It clearly looks like you can do the job. And when you think about it, you're buying an AIO cooler to obviously do more cooling, but then you run the risk of it being vibrationally loud, a bit too loud, the fan bearing's a little bit loud, it's passing through too much wind, or it's not cooling down enough because it's slightly cheap. This price is at £100. £100, you're getting a super silent fans are on the AIO cooler. The AIO cooler with its bearings inside, it's got a three-way chamber in it, and the way the technology works, and plus you've got the bladder thing going on in the radiator, and then you've got all these cables, and you've got magnets, and also you've got adhesives as well. So if you don't have a magnetic case, you've got a plastic case, you could just literally just use adhesive and put it somewhere. It's not too big, it's just right. It has got a lot of cables, but it has got a fan hub. It can plug all those cables in, plus more, plus the LEDs as well for addressable RGBs, plus it works with Mystic Light, plus it works without Mystic Light, and works with Asus's Aura Sync and RGB Fusion. It works with literally everything. They thought of everything. Conclusion, even though it does have all this stuff, is this going to be the right AIO cooler for you? Number one, it works. It's pretty bright to me. It's like got high quality stuff, high quality components. Bit of a big bold statement about it won't leak. Don't listen to that. If you're going to buy this and put it in there, but just make sure whenever you're doing anything to do with AIO cooling, it's got water in it or custom water cooling, you better be sure that you got insurance to cover it, because something can always happen. Never ever think nothing's going to ever happen. Have you seen our new merch called Actual Intervention by the M Range? Oh, we've got t-shirts, hoodies, pillows, hats, throws. We have everything and more, and we're still adding more every week. Might even be a special edition coming soon. This has been your man, Roger D, and I'll see you next video.